Okay, I think I want to talk about how dancing in my car changed my life. Um, and there's a lot of different, pieces to this. I almost this is the first time in a while where I've kind of wanted to jot down some notes. But also, fuck that. So, I'll just see how it goes. But some of the things that I think are wrapped up in this are starting tiny, me not stifling my smile in public, me being myself in public, and being less scared in public, and shit, what was the last one? Oh, enjoying, if there's an imaginary audience, enjoying performing for them, and really leading into that. So I'll just start from, I guess I'll start from, because the thing that feels most significant that changed because I started dancing in my car, I guess I should describe first what I mean by that. Basically just now, whenever I get in the car, okay, sorry, lots of things are coming. When I get in the car, I turn on music, and I jam out, pop star level, concert level performance as I'm driving places, safely, but very passionately and dramatically, and, yeah, it's a very big performance, and when I first started doing that, I used to be super embarrassed and didn't do that, and would think about, what is everyone else thinking about me when I'm driving. They would think, oh, who's that wacko dancing in her car. So when I first started I started tiny, and would just kind of do small dancing, small jamming in contained areas where no one was watching, or still in my car, but when no one's around, or I would only dance when I'm driving, but not when I'm at a stoplight and we're all just chilling there for a couple seconds together. So I would let myself kind of grow my window of tolerance. So the things that I was comfortable with and I could tolerate, I would do those, and then I would slowly make it bigger. So I guess instead of starting where I wanted to start, I'll start with starting tiny. So starting tiny is this idea that if you want to get to somewhere, whether that's a thing or doing something, and that feels too much, start tiny. Start with a tiny thing. And the first time this really clicked for me is when I was at a concert recently with a friend, and it was a very small intimate show, and something that really stuck out to me was the crowd in the beginning, they just started with really small, tiny swaying movements, but then by the end, we were all a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more comfortable. I feel there's another word there. Is this falling? What's going on? But yeah, so by the end of the concert, people were moving more substantially, but it would have been too much if they started. I mean, of course you could have just gone in there in the concert and just, jamming. And there was a couple people who were comfortable doing that. And there was even this really cool guy with I don't know, because most of the audience was in the same exact kind of outfit. And this one guy really stood out because he was, I don't know, probably in his 70s, and he had this rainbow cap and this really cool rainbow fuzzy coat, and it was really hot in there, so that was my problem with it. I'm like, are you okay? Is it too hot? But he was like dancing on his own and like literally dancing to the beat of his own drum kind of vibe. But for most people, coming straight out the gate with that energy is too much. It's emotionally too much. It's like you're worried about too many things, but it does still feel nice to like get to the point where you're able to dance and like engage with the music or like participate in whatever's going on. But in order to get there, you can start tiny. You can start with little tiny, you know. I like when I tweeted about this, the thing that came to me was like in what is it called, Baby Mama, the movie with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler from, I don't know, 2000s or something. They're like in the club and Tina Fey's character is like dancing like this and she's like, what do you think? And Amy Poehler's like character is like, no, that's stupid or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember anything else about it, but that really stuck out to me because it's like, yeah, that's great. You know, if you start just with like little tiny, if this is what gets you started, then by all means. And like, as you get more comfortable, like, you know, the things will like expand, and it's fine to let yourself grow slowly like that. Like, you don't have to come straight out the gate being super comfortable and doing super big things. It's fine to start tiny and get there. And not even like, you don't even have to get anywhere in particular. Like, you can just do the tiny move that feels right, and you can just keep doing that forever. So to bring it back to dancing in my car, so I started tiny, and now I'm at the point where I'm like really jamming out, and I don't have, I mean, sure, like every once in a while, or like sometimes, you know, when I'm at a stoplight, I'll tone it down a little bit, but I don't stop. I mean, sometimes I stop, sometimes I feel like stopping, but for the most part, like, I don't really care about what other people think. And to bring it back to like enjoying the performance, like, I mean, it's fun. It's like I'm giving a performance, and I don't know if anyone's watching. I don't know if anyone can see me like driving past or like watching me as I drive past. But it's fun. It's fun to think that like they're catching a glimpse of like this person who is fully like in the moment, enjoying like this artistic thing and like really connecting with it. And like, I don't know, it really just is like, it's an emotional release for me, and like expression, and like creative expression for me, and just like really like it's similar to the video I just made about this transition I'm feeling a big transition in my life into like so many different areas that it's hard to like distill it down to like one video, especially, but also especially like one sentence or something, or like it's just hard to capture everything that feels like has changed or is changing. But what I just talked about is, it feels like this shift from like just a lowercase artist, just someone who like creates, to like capital A artist, of like someone who has and executes a vision, or like is really cognizant and like thoughtful about what I'm expressing and the way I'm expressing it and the way that it's impacting other people. And I think actually I've been thinking one of the biggest, it feels like the biggest thing that has clicked for me is like the sense of like dynamics. And I've been listening to Lord's album Melodrama, and the thing that sticks out to me the most about like that fantastic album is her use of dynamics. Like, she really is very, very thoughtful about when things crescendo and when they kind of come back down. And, like, you know, her use of silence in some of the parts is just incredibly, like, I don't know, artfully done. And that's what I think has really clicked for me. Like, the sense of, like, expanding and contracting and like, yeah, constricting and releasing, and increasing and decreasing. Like, this it's something that has really, I don't know, just clicked for me, and it's something that I kind of explore in my little car dancing performances, and also just like the other part of this transition from artist to artist is like very deeply connecting with like the emotional component to it, where it's like the moves that I make when I dance in my car are the moves that like I feel and like I need to express. It's like, I don't know, I think the cool thing is I'm so, because I think before, because I've always like, you know, liked dancing to little, I like, you know, my emotional support solo dance parties usually are at home. But I think when I used to do it, it seemed like I would kind of like come up with certain moves to do in certain parts of certain songs. But what it feels like happens now is like every time, like I could listen to the same song like 5 times in a row, and I would dance differently every time, because it's about me in the present moment and how I'm interacting with and experiencing the song, and the emotions that it like brings up in me and how they want to be expressed. And so it's like different every time, and that feels like my sense of like connection with like the present moment and the emotion and all of that seems like it has really developed. It's like a flip has switched. I really struggle with that phrase. Switch has flipped. Flip has switched. Which I love. I think I've actually talked about this before. I love phrases like that where it's like they kind of work regardless. Like a switch has flipped or a flip has switched. Does that make any sense, actually? But you still get it. But when I try to say that, it kind of comes out wonky. Or like I have to hesitate a second. Yeah, okay, I reached kind of we kind of flowed through some things. And now the thing I haven't talked about is stifling my smile in public. So this is a big change for me, because historically the thing that I stifle the most in public has been my smile and my joy, which is something that's very, like, it's an integral part of who I am, and it's often the thing that really sticks out the most to people. But when I'm just like out and about and not like with other people, I historically would purposely, like, the desire to smile would come and I would shut that shit down. I would repress hardcore. I would stifle, because I didn't want people to ask me why I'm smiling. Because, like, it seems like you can have a, like, resting bitch face or, like, resting miserable face, and, like, unless it's, like, super dramatic, then people won't ask you why. But it felt like, or feels like, when you're smiling, it's like an invitation for people to ask you why you're smiling and to inquire about the reason. And the thing is, I'm a very private person, and I used to be very, like, I want to hide. I don't want to, like, I was very avoidant of connection, and it felt very vulnerable to share and, like, display my joy for anyone to see, and to open the possibility for others to inquire about the cause of my joy. Because, you know, often it's not things, it's personal things that I don't want to share with people. But now I don't do as much stifling, and part of it, a major part of it, is like because I started tiny, in the sense that, like, for me, dancing in my car was a way to express emotion in public in a way that felt safe and okay and tolerable for me. And so now, because I've had so many experiences, and like there's a literal barrier between me and other people, which is my car. So I'm like literally in a safe container, and that has allowed me to get used to what it feels like to express and display emotion in public, and for it to be okay. And you know, it's interesting because, like, it's not like when I'm in my car expressing joy or other emotions that people can ask me about it. I guess they could if they really tried, but yeah, so it's amazing to reflect and realize that, like, oh wow, this was a way to get me to a point where I can not stifle my joy in public. And so now it's like I don't have to, like, smiling is not the only method or tool or something, or option, I don't know, there's a word here I'm struggling to find. It's not the only tool in my toolbox for expressing joy in public. Like, now I have dancing, and also, is that an animal or something? This happened last night too. I heard something and my windows are open. Anyway, what was I saying? Sorry, I had to finish that musical sequence. Shoot, that really got distracted me. Oh, okay, so I have dancing. Also, the other one, kind of unrelated but related, I've been, not recently, I've gotten off of it, but in the past few months, I've gone out to take walks a lot more, and often when I'm on my walk, I'm like, okay, I want to run now, and I'll just run like a half lap or a lap, and that has actually been a really good outlet for me to, outlet, is that what I was looking for? Anyway, that has been a really good outlet for me to express my joy, and I'll just have like this big goofy grin on my face as I'm running, which is fun. Sometimes it feels a little bit silly, but it feels good and okay and tolerable. So yeah, it feels good to have found ways that I'm comfortable expressing my joy in public, and that just, like, lets me be myself in public, because who I am is a joyful ass son of a bitch. And, like, the reality is, in a lot of places, like, or a lot of spaces or contexts like that, it's not the norm, and it's very pro-social to be very negative and, like, I hate life and whatever, and so my joy can be very, like, transgressive in a lot of contexts, so it's very nice to be able to feel a lot more comfortable expressing it in public. Oh, I remember what it was. I hope I covered I think I had 4 things in the beginning. I think I covered them all. But the other thing about all of this is, which I think is a really good representation of how my values have changed is, so when I used to be in the car, regardless of like whether I was driving or in the passenger seat, I'd like want the windows down from like home until the highway, and then once we got on the highway, I'd be like, okay, now my hair's getting messed up, whatever, and like the wind is too much, so let's put the windows up and turn on the air conditioner. But now I only turn the air conditioning on and put the windows up if I like absolutely have to. Like recently there was a heat wave and it was like 92, 93, and I begrudgingly put the windows up and put the air conditioning on. But otherwise, I'm windows down, music blared, wind in my face, and sometimes because I like to, have my arm out the window making little thingies with the wind, but sometimes it gets too much. Like on the highway, my hand is like trying to not fight the air, but being fought by the air. But yeah, I noticed that recently where if I have the choice to not, windows are down, and it just, to me, it shows that my priority now is like having this emotional outlet and like really feeling and like, and also I guess also something that has been really different is I've started to like make playlists, and I haven't gotten to the point yet where, or I don't know, I'm still at the point where like what I struggle with is like I'll listen to a song and then listening to that song makes me think of another song and I want to play that next, and a lot of times it's not on the same playlist or not on the same album. I typically like to put an album on, listen to it in order, and kind of like fully experience it, which I have been doing, like I said, with Melodrama. That one's really good. And before that, for a while, it was Torture Poets Department. I forget what else, but so yeah, another thing that I say is I'll be impressed with AI when it can like read my mind and like take those, like when I listen to a song and it makes me think of another song and I want to play it next, when it can read my mind and do that for me, then I'll be impressed. But anyway, it's nice to find this other creative outlet in playlist making, playlist curating, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm excited to see where that takes me and where that goes. But yeah, so how has dancing in my car changed my life? It's allowed me to feel comfortable expressing my joy in public and joy and other emotions, and that means I'm comfortable being myself in public, which is huge, and just overall like helps me, like I just feel like I'm more myself in all contexts. And there's obviously a lot of factors, but I think dancing in my car has really, 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 really made an impact. Yeah, so I started tiny and now here I am. And man, does it feel good. So yeah, I think that's all I have. Thanks for watching if you did.